Hello, I'm Panos Kotzathanasis, and this is Bad Accent Video Reviews. Today we're going to talk about Ryusuke Hamaguchi's 9th feature, Evil Does Not Exist, which received the Silver Lion at the 80th Venice Film Festival, among a number of other awards in international festivals all over the world. The story of the film unfolds within a secluded mountain town in Japan, particularly the picturesque village of Harasawa, and starts as an intensely art house film, since the whole first part highlights the tranquil life the locals live in this mountainous area filled with snow and forests. And in the first scene, we're also introduced to two of the protagonists, Takumi, a caretaker of the area, and something of a leader, let's say, of the community there, and his daughter, Hana. It's also worth mentioning that Evil Does Not Exist originated as a musical project for Eiko Ishibashi, who was also in charge of the soundtrack of Drive My Car. And she initially requested Hamaguchi to create visual imagery for her for pre-existing musical compositions, but during that process, Hamaguchi decided to turn the whole thing into a film. This aspect becomes particularly evident in the first part, as I just mentioned, which essentially the only thing that it does is introduce the two characters and show us the setting in a series of very beautiful shots, though. This tranquility, serenity of the area is, however, disrupted by a gunshot phone that we see at some point and the distant sound of hunters and their guns, which essentially shows that maybe not everything is calm as it seems in the beginning. As we move on, the second scenes introduce some more of the locals, the two owners of a restaurant in the town, and also Suruga, who is the village elder and the leader of the community. Something like, let's say, Suruga is kind of the leader who sits in the office, and Takumi is the one who is on the field. This is the relationship I got from the two men, the way they run about the village and the things they do within it. Okay, so these first two scenes highlight how the community works in the area, but the whole thing changes a bit later when we are introduced to two people from Tokyo, Takahashi and Mayuzumi, who have come to talk to the village council about a glamping site they want to make, which essentially means glamorous camping in a new age concept sounds particularly hipster, but seems to be a thing in Japan. The two of them make an introduction, but soon realize that the villagers are not the naive, maybe even stupid people they considered as the first protests about what they are going to do start unfolding. We have Takumi answered asking a very serious question about the waste of the camping and how is it going to work, highlighting the fact that the people that they want to do this glamping have not thought about it very much. With the same applying a bit later from a lady who used to be a caretaker, who asks who is going to check the whole thing during the night, since the whole organizing of the camping, as its owners have thought about it, has very little people and essentially did not include someone to take care of what is happening in the night. Lastly, Suruga starts talking and mentions the fact that the upstream communities in mountainous areas are responsible for what is happening to the downstream communities. And the fact that if the people who want to make the glamping are not careful, there will be trouble with the village's which are lower in the mountains, and the locals are the ones that are going to get blamed. Takahashi and Mayuzumi are obviously over the head from the beginning, as they did not expect such a logical attack. And their discomfort becomes evident quite early, and it becomes even worse when the local delinquent punk, okay, this is in quotes, a blonde hair young guy who is obviously very angry and wants to show his anger. But at some point, he's almost trying to attack Takahashi, but Takumi puts him into his place, literally. So the whole thing is really, really unpleasant for the two. And in the first rather impressive scene in the movie, this is, I have to say this, the Hamaguchi, this is a very minimalist film with very few scenes, considering what we are watching recently with films that have, I don't know, maybe dozens of scenes. This has very few scenes, all of which, however, are particularly well done and soar with tension on occasion, while almost every action, every word, every nuance is quite meaningful. So the next scene is also as interesting as that, as we watch Takahashi and Mayuzuma in their office back in Tokyo, where the person who is an advisor for the whole thing and their boss essentially tell them that they need to convince the locals any way they can for the whole thing to proceed. They mention the subsidies, that they need to finish the whole work in soon, otherwise they're going to expire. And their boss sends them again back to the village in order to essentially woo Takumi, offering him the job of the night caretaker and also making some concessions regarding the camping site. The third very interesting scene takes place inside the car with the two of them, Takahashi driving and Mayuzumi next to him, where we get to know them a bit better and we realize that they are not actually the ones to blame for what is happening. They are also poor professionals, that they are forced to do what their bosses order them. And it's also here that Hamaguchi makes us laugh a bit through a dialogue about online dating, in another great trait of the film, since the whole thing is rather serious, but Hamaguchi has managed to induce humor in a couple of scenes, thus intensifying the entertainment the film offers. Okay, then they meet Takumi once more, and their whole interaction starts to change the mentality of essentially everyone. Takahashi suddenly has a change of mind about his whole life, while Mayuzumi is still trying to convince Takumi about the project, but he is not. He is very adamant about what he wants, and he doesn't seem to be easy to sway in their own way. At the same time, however, he does not dismiss them completely, as his logical mentality, let's say, tells them that if they do the changes they ask, they are willing to help them. How this second scene, a bit later on, there is a second car scene with the three of them inside, which is also rather meaningful, particularly when Takumi starts talking about deer and if they can become violent, in a clear parallel with his character, which becomes, I think it's apparent from this scene, but becomes even more apparent later on. Okay, at some point, Hana, Takumi's daughter, goes missing, and then the whole story takes a rather different turn, with the danger that was lurking until that point quite intensely, I would say, wherever Takumi is present at least, becoming more palpable. And there is a sense of mystery happening, which brings us to the end, which is rather shocking and could be perceived as the most impressive scene in the film, but I will talk a bit more about that. The first time I watched the movie, I was really impressed by the ending. I was shocked. I said, wow, this is the great conclusion to a great story, a great film, and I was really, really impressed. But after the next day, after I watched the film, I was starting questioning a bit exactly what is happening and what Hamaguchi wanted to say and why all this is happening and which is true and which is not. And in the end, I feel that maybe although the ending is impactful in the way it resonates with the rest of the narrative and the overall atmosphere here, at the same time, it's illogical and it doesn't make much sense. It seems as if it was rushed or something, and I don't think it's such a good conclusion, at least not as much as was my first impression. Apart from that, as I have mentioned before, Hamaguchi is probably one of the smartest and most timely directors, since he is able to pick up all the trends of the time in cinema and combining them, though, in intricate fashion through a European style that definitely appeals to film festival, which is the main source of his success. For example, in Drive My Car, we had the theme of movies about a movie, which becomes more and more popular in Asian cinema. We had the inclusion of Minority. A couple of films before that, he was dealing with LGBT relationships, and now he deals with environmental issues, which is another trend that has been happening in particularly in art house cinema. At the same time, however, he includes the concept of human nature and makes the whole thing kind of a, let's say, family drama, social drama in a way, which the Japanese cinema always thrived in, and his take on the subject is excellent. Regarding the narrative, as I said, I felt that he is building something, and the end is satisfying in the way that he is shocking. But again, and I'm sorry to mention that again, I think the ending could have been better. I think it's like he saw the whole movie, then he sat down for a year, then he decided to shoot the ending, and this is the sense I got after thinking a bit more about it. Apart from that, though, and particularly in the technical aspect of the movie, it's flawless. It's the Japanese always knew how to shoot films, and Hamaguchi is probably one of the masters right now in that regard. Yoshio Kitagawa's cinematography in particular gives us some outstanding images of the area, with the one with the lake, which is repeated twice in the movie, being probably the most impressive, but the whole thing, the visual aspect in combination with the music is exceptional. The audio-visual aspect of the film is exceptional. Hamaguchi and Azusa Yamazaki's editing also induces the film with a somber pace that fits the overall aesthetics to perfection. And the fact that the scenes that seem disconnected in the beginning, the fact that they found a true meaning during the end, with Hamaguchi connecting them everywhere, emerges as one of the best aspects of the movie. Regarding the acting, is also on a very high level. Hitoshi Omika as Takumi is exceptional in the role where he sounds very logical, he's very smart, he seems very capable, and he is also a loving father. But you can see, but by the way he moves and his overall demeanor, like a person who never laughs or is always serious, that there is a danger lurking about it, and Omika presents that in the best fashion. Ryuji Kosaka as Takahashi and Ayaka Shibutami as Mayuzumi are also great in their part, particularly in the scene with the first meeting where their discomfort is palpable. Particularly Kosaka is rather impressive to watch. Their chemistry is exceptional throughout the film, and Kosaka also changes in the second part of the movie in a way that is also very convincing, if a bit also illogical and far-fetched, I have to say. So all in all, this is another great film by Hamaguchi, but it's masterfully shot, but I'm not sure if it is the overall masterpiece a number of people tend to think. Okay, as I mentioned, I thought that when I saw it first, but if you think about it a bit more, you see that there are some flaws here and there which bring its quality down. At the same time, I'm sure that fans of European, okay, this is in parentheses, European art house films would definitely enjoy that. And okay, this is going to be another festival favorite that will keep on screening for quite some time. Hamaguchi has perfected his approach in that regard, taking the sculptures from Kiyoshi Kurosawa, Naomi Kawase, and Corrida. Okay, Corrida is still on that. They were the Japanese festival favorites. And I think we're gonna hear a lot of, much more of him in the future. I'm just curious if his cunningness, let's say, will also allow him to get an Oscar like Bong Joon-ho did. We will see. Okay, this was for today once more. Thank you all for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and see you soon again. Have a nice day. Bye.